What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in again. This is Donnie, aka Elevated, and here's another video on behalf of Dota Alchemy. And this one is going to be a clip from one of my recent streams this weekend where I asked chat to give me some really annoying heroes that they've been playing against and having trouble beating. And then we just kind of talked about what might be useful in countering these heroes, basically how to deal with some of the most annoying heroes in the game. And hopefully you enjoy the content. Let me know in the comment section below if you think I missed anything or if there are other heroes that you'd like to see us cover how to counter them. So enjoy. So we've got Enchantress, who has the most annoying thing about this hero is untouchable, right? You basically can't attack her unless you're an Ursa. You can literally just like not take damage because you just, whoa, look at that. Try and hit me, son. And then all of a sudden you get low and you're like, oh, guess what? I'm taking no damage. So obviously the best way to deal with a hero like this is to burst her with something that doesn't require you to attack. So, you know, we're talking about stuff like magic damage spells. Okay, problem solved. Of course, Enchantress could always buy a BKB, and then she becomes even more annoying, right? Because it's very hard to kill her at that point. So, and she's fast, and you can't really kite very effectively because she has a damage-based or a range-based damage steroid. So you're like, oh shit, how do I deal with this? To be honest, one of the best things you can do is just kind of face hug her. Like, if you just face hug her, and then she's gonna spend half her time running away. Like, imagine she's BKB'd. So then you just run at her, and you're like, you know what? All of your damage, and then you're like, guess what? Okay, now you're susceptible to damage, and you're doing no damage. Look at your right click, 40 damage. So Lifestealer's obviously very good. Any hero that naturally builds into BKB is pretty good. Sven is reasonably good against her, just because you want to close the gap and blow her up very quickly. You know, something like an Echo Saber is probably pretty beneficial against Enchantress, just because it forces the double attack. But generally speaking, it's all about just closing the distance and then having a BKB. So like PA, for example, is extremely good against Enchantress because you have an attack speed steroid, you buy BKB all the time, you do overwhelming physical damage. She's got 10 armor, so this hero's squishy. Huskar is not how he used to be, where it was like impossible to burst him early on. In fact, he's relatively easy to deal with, in my opinion. Like, the number one thing you want against this guy is just straight up a Spirit Vessel. Oops, that's a Holy Locket. If you get a Spirit Vessel against this guy, let's spawn an enemy. Okay, that seems like a lot of regen, 100 regen. And you're like, oh, 40 regen. Okay, that's not that bad. And he's taking quite a bit of damage. Like, it basically slows him down in his tracks. Another hero that I think is reasonably good against him is Axe, because Huskar is going to be low a lot of the time. He's going to be doing a lot of high physical damage. So you just pick up a Blade Mail, and then you blink on him, and he kills himself. And that's pretty nice, right? Especially if you have a Spirit Vessel on top of him, he's just going to murder himself. The early game, though, is where Huskar can be really difficult to deal with, you know, once he gets an armlet and he is kind of just going ham on you, running at your towers. The biggest thing for him is I feel like people, especially now with Inner Fire, they go on him and they don't quite kill him, and then they allow him to get off Inner Fire, and they're trying to finish him off with right clicks. I would say you almost want to, like, you want to stun him, and you want to do your right clicks first, and then you want to finish him off with burst spells. I think that, to be honest, a hero like Lina is reasonably good, because he's going to jump on you. You're going to be able to read where he's going to jump to, and you just LSA there, and then you blow him up with a bunch of magic damage. But I honestly don't think that this hero is that difficult to counter anymore, because of the prevalence of Spirit Vessels being a really good item. You know, look at this. Clearly I know what I'm talking about. If you're just like a slow kind of plodding melee hero that has to stand in range of his spears to CS, then you're kind of fucked. But you could also just shove the wave into Huskar's face. He's terrible at dealing with waves. like being pushed into him. He does one attack to each creep over and over and over until they die. So you could just shove the wave and then right-click him while he's trying to CS under tower. That's another way to deal with it. Another one, how to deal with Slark when you are a melee hero in lane. Melee offlaner, I assume. I mean, to be frank, like, your best bet is probably cutting the wave, because that way Slark just has to sit there. He probably takes S and shifts level 1, and then he just tanks the creeps, you know? And that's not very fun for this hero. He's only got 3 armor. He's not that strong of a hero. He can be very annoying for a melee offlaner to deal with, but I really think it's just kind of about, like, either cutting the wave or having a good support in the lane. I don't really think that Slark's laning stage is all that difficult to deal with. You know, if he gets a level advantage on you or a couple level advantage on you, he can be really scary, or if he has like a stunning support and you're left alone. But at that point, you know, that's hard against any hero. So if you are left alone as an offlaner against 2 heroes that have some kill potential, your best bet is really just to not lane against them at all. I mean, I would be a little hesitant to trade right clicks with Slark a lot, but early on, he's kind of like Monkey King in that regard. Like in the first level, he is super weak, so if you have a lot of extra damage, you can probably outfight him pretty easily. Okay, who else is annoying? Grimstroke? People are wanting to know about Grimstroke. This hero can definitely be very annoying to play against. Force Staff is like one of your best friends against this hero, for sure.
Comes to life today.
It kind of depends, like what part of... You have to figure out what part of the hero is giving you issues. It's either going to be the silence or it's going to be his Inkswell in lane, right? So, you know, the biggest thing is if he puts the spirit on you, then you just need to get the spirit off as quickly as possible.
As expected.
If you're a hero, like, for example, one of the heroes that I kind of like playing against Grimstroke, which is a little bit counterintuitive because he seems like a hero that gets kind of owned by the silence, is Weaver. You get a value point in Geminate on this hero, and then you have no problem with the Phantom at all.
This way now.
As far as dealing with Soulbind, I mean, that's like what makes the hero good in general, is really just BKB. It's like the #1 thing. Get a BKB so you don't get double owned by the Soulbind. But the fact that it doesn't slow at all anymore, you just have to tell your teammate, hey, go this way, or hey, go this way. As far as like in the actual laning stage, Grim is fairly slow. His armor is not very good. He's definitely pretty easy to trade with, and if you focus on trading him down, then he can't really do a lot, because he's one of those heroes that you basically are going to want to pair with something that can be enabled to kill stuff. So like, you know, Grim Ursa, Grim Sven, Grim Centaur. One of these heroes that wants to gap close, has a stun themselves, can really lock people down with the Inkswell, needs the speed boost maybe to close the gap initially, and can combo off with that. That's what makes the hero super good. So if you can just eliminate Grim from the lane, or eliminate the other hero from the lane, you know, there's one thing that Grimstroke doesn't provide, and that's sustain. So if you can basically just like out harass them, or beat the regen for whatever reason, or even just separate them by pulling the lane so that he has to come deal with the pull and maybe the carry has to CS, you can just kind of nullify the ability of Grimstroke to combo off of stuff. Okay, let's talk about... Sure, we can talk about Undying. A couple things you'll notice is that he only has 3 armor, so, you know, trading right clicks with him can be effective if you're a ranged hero in particular. If you're a melee hero against this in lane, again, I kind of feel like it's one of those scenarios where you just want to go, like, cut the creep wave, and maybe not cut the creep wave and tank the creep wave, because Undying will come kill you, but just, like, pull the second wave around to right in front of your tower, and then Undying is like, hey, cool. Now I just have to stand here and look menacing and maybe, you know, taunt in front of your tower like this while you CS under your tower. And then he's kind of like Phoenix in the regard where, like, if he drops Tombstone, you focus Tombstone. Like, it's just very important. You kill the Tombstone. You know, this whole hero basically revolves around trying to keep himself alive and just, like, eating up space and just being, like, this massive damage that's running at you. But yeah, the main thing is, you know, he lacks a GPM talent, so if you can get him to a spot where he's underfarmed early, he's gonna have a very hard time playing tanky, and then he's basically just gonna be like a very burstable save hero as the game progresses. So if you don't feed him early, then you kind of just treat him like any other save hero, and you just burst him at the beginning of every fight and like force him to throw a tombstone to try and survive. And then if he wastes his tombstone and you kill him, or he is too low to stay in the fight, then you're pretty good. OD was another hero that I saw mentioned. And this is definitely a super annoying hero in specific matchups. I would have to say again that OD is one of those heroes that doesn't function very well against heroes that push the creep wave into his face. So like, you know, not only is he relatively short range, but if he is tanking creeps under the tower and trying to last hit, you can kind of just like pot shot him away. I kind of like the idea of sniper against him just because you just keep the range, you keep the creep waves pushed in with shrapnel, and then OD can never really gap close on you. You know, you have a BKB, and then all of a sudden he has literally no way to do damage because he can't use Arcane Orb. One great thing that I've seen a lot of pro teams do against OD is, especially in the lane, like they'll wait, he'll go for the Astral on the enemy hero, or the hero that he's facing, and then the Rapid will come behind him, and he's like, oh shit, okay, I don't have a save ability anymore. And then one really important thing to think about when you're playing against an OD, like in the mid game or in fights, is just keep an eye out for the Astral. Like, don't hard commit onto somebody if OD is nearby. You want to hard commit onto OD because the save will screw you over every time. Like, if you're wasting all this time trying to kill somebody outside of OD and then he saves them and then he's just like wailing away on you the whole time, then you're going to be in a pretty tough spot.